everyone. It's Sister Wives. Oh, look at the camera's tipped. Should I fix it? Probably not. Sister Wives, Season 14, Episode 15, Season Finale. My guess is that they were planning on having the 16th episode be the tell-all, but I believe, especially with Sister Wives, they record it after a majority of the season has aired so they can react to stuff. And, of course, they can't right now because we're all quarantined, which I feel like I'm so sick of mentioning it. But the episode is two moms, their daughter, and a baby. I am super low energy this morning because it was boring. Well, it wasn't just boring, it was sad. I don't like to watch difficult births, but John and I both have a lot of feelings because of stuff we've gone through about difficult births and pregnancy and babies and all that. And so it just wasn't, seeing the baby get picked up by the ambulance, I cried. And then I had to have like a whole cool down session because of all of our stuff that we've gone through and all that. So it just wasn't a very fun episode. It just kind of ended. We didn't even see Mary. They go on about how Mary works like a maniac. And they can't even get 5 minutes of that evidence. Mary's respected by everyone she works with. I get it's not the Mary show, but we couldn't see 2 seconds of that.
It's the Cody show.
We got to see the loan application.
The Cody show.
It is the Cody show. And I'm sick of it. Also, I'm sad because it's the last of the season, and I won't see most of you again until if there's another season. I think the way that they do it is they start filming the next season, and then because the major cost is paying off the families, so they're probably already negotiating for that. I have no idea. I tried to look up ratings and all the ratings information. I'm not going that deep, but the ratings information was all about how this season wasn't going to happen because the ratings were so bad. Anyway, I've gotten a lot of comments, I think from probably newer viewers, maybe not, about oh, you're so nice to Mary, there's all these problems. If you want to hear our feelings on Mary with the catfishing thing, we've actually been recapping the show since Season 7. So I'm going to put all the playlists down in the description, and you can see that you can still disagree with us. That's fine. I've always been you don't have to agree with us to watch our recaps. These are just our opinion.
If you want to be wrong.
This is like us debating about which pasta is best. It doesn't really affect my life. You're free to have different opinions. But I'm going to go ahead and put the old playlist. The episode name, the names are correct. The episode numbers were screwed up for a few seasons because before DirecTV started putting the episode number and season in the title, I used to go off the internet, and guess what? I hate to tell you this, the internet was wrong. They said it was Season 5.
You can't put anything on the internet unless it's true.
And then sometimes there were 2 seasons, and I thought it was one long season and all that. So I think I figured out the playlists are correct. It starts with Mary saying she wanted to go back to college. Cody should have encouraged that. Maybe she wouldn't have gotten catfished from the internet if she could have gone back to college, because she never got to go to college. Anyway, we will be like and subscribe. We'll try to find other shows that we all watch and we can talk about together. Janelle and Christine are there. Cody will come when the baby has. Watching this whole process, knowing how difficult her first birth was, I personally just wanted to go to a hospital. Now, I understand a lot of people have strong feelings about not being in hospitals. We gave birth in a hospital. We had to have a C-section. This was not there was not dying people being rolled past. It's a separate wing. They're dedicated just to maternity. You can come and go just to that wing. You don't have to worry about germs. They're very diligent. I felt incredibly safe. There was a cooler with food right there for me, with yogurts and that kind of stuff. There was an ice machine that had the little ice pellets, which is the holy grail of ice. That was right outside our door. John, there was a bed that could fold out. We were in a kind of a medium to small size room, recovery room. There were much bigger rooms if we had gone into labor that the whole family could have come and gone. There was a TV, there was a DVD. It was a very comfortable environment. They didn't have a literal bed with a bedspread. I don't know that I would want to be on a bed with a bedspread, but there was a lot of amenities, at least at our hospital. Maybe we had an outstanding, unusual hospital, but I just wanted her to go to a hospital. But that is, I will freely say, that is me projecting my own birthing fears and my fears about infertility and loss and all that onto the situation. But so it was, for me though, it was a very tense hour to watch because, and then of course we all knew because one, it's all over the internet. Two, everybody keeps commenting on it that the baby had problems after birth. So it was just like waiting for that to happen, and all the previews show that the first time I saw the baby being rolled by, this first split second I thought the baby was like strapped to the back of a truck because they were moving quickly, and so it gave this, like they were driving, I was like, oh my gosh, like just a split second that I realized they were rolling it to the ambulance. Just terrifying all around. So it was not for me a great episode to watch. So, and I kind of lost track of time. It feels like this labor, this on and off again, happened for weeks, and I think that's accurate. They kept thinking she was going to do it and not, and then not. Then her water broke at the mall, and because of our circumstances, we never went through that. So I always thought, I was told when I read my birthing book that the image of the woman standing in a puddle of water is overly dramatic, but then we saw her and there's this puddle, there's dripping water, and I'm like, okay, well, good. Then they have this whole thing about how, oh, all these silly monogamous couples have to check with their husband. We don't have to do that, silly monogamous. And I was like, you guys are acting like it's this big proud thing, but what I don't think you realize is that monogamous couples do that because they're together all the time. And they, not every couple, but a lot of couples split the work. And so if one of you disappears, it is a huge impact on the other person. I don't need to check with my husband because he's the only person who gives me permission to do stuff. I check with my husband because if I'm gone, he has to pick up the slack. Okay? So they're saying this like it's some like, oh, these silly monogamists have to check with the person that they've committed to for life. We can just do whatever because Cody's basically never there anyway. Which is like 2 seconds later, Cody's like, I'm going to check in on my children. And you're like, shouldn't you be, I don't know, raising them? Like, isn't that part of the process? Talks to Gabe. He's like one step short of being like, you're Gabe, right? Because it's like, it's so like, so why exactly have you, this is August, by the way. And we only know that because there's a calendar in the background. Well, you could also, I mean, you could just look up and see when Maddie gave birth. But at the loan office, there's an August. Now, maybe she gave birth, and who knows? They kind of edit these together, not perfectly chronologically. But he's like, so you've been spending a lot of time with your head in a book. And he's like, yeah, because I'm graduating early. He's like, oh, so you're doing a semester of work? No, Dad, I'm doing a full year. Where are you planning on going to college? I'm going to Northern Arizona University. Now, why aren't you? And it's like, I am more in touch with like my nieces and nephews I haven't seen in a few years than he seems to be with these children that he claims that he is co-parenting.
Well, let's be fair to Cody. He didn't make Robin look bad. Covered for her. Okay,
yeah, so let's go back to that. So one of the things that I meant to talk about in last week's episode, which is something I didn't know, and this is not a universal truth about polygamy. So if you're a polygamist and you're offended by this, then you can understand that. You feel free in the comments to explain your situation. But part of the reason when I was reading up on, when I heard that Utah specifically had laws against polygamy, in addition to the religious implications, one of the things that I read, because I was like, I don't get it. There's no law against men sleeping with multiple women, but I guess technically in Utah there is still a law or something.
There was.
But so here's the deal. What you do with your sex life is really none of your business. Whatever. I don't necessarily think that we should legislate everything. So I was like, I don't really get, but what they said was part of the problem is that because he's only legally married to one wife, other wives often claim on their taxes that they are single wives with no support and no child support and take advantage of tax codes, and they often will move debt into one wife's name and then declare bankruptcy for the whole family or something like that. And from what I understand, once again, this is not my full-time job. This is not even a part-time job. This is not even a job. The various sister wives had taken, I don't know for sure who and what, but had declared bankruptcy prior to the sister wives. And so that made a lot more sense. And another thing is Robin doesn't have a job. I guess they have sister wives closets. Someone told me they were closed down. So I went online. They technically still have website up, but they're not actually, when I went, they didn't have anything listed. So how exactly, so Robin doesn't have a job. They all have reality show money, which I'm sure the bank is not thrilled with as their only major income. So my guess is, from what I know, Janelle might have a job or a business. Mary definitely has a business. So that's part of the reason why they have to go through everyone's finances, is because the money, on paper, Robin has nothing coming in. And so they're trying to figure out, where is this money? It matters then that Janelle has Janelle does not have a mortgage, but she's renting, but Christine does have a mortgage, but doesn't have a full-time job other than the reality show, which could be gone like that. And then they're going to have, Cody says he's on 4 mortgages. So he's got, I believe he meant this would be his 4th mortgage, I believe. Although, at this point in time, I'm not sure how many houses in Vegas haven't sold. We know Robin sold. Don't worry, my mother-in-law is down there. Speaking of which, do you want to go check on him? Okay. Sounds like an angry cry more than a hurt cry. Okay, so anyway, they're like, this is the benefit of monogamy, because this is the benefit of having polygamy, because with monogamous, you have no support. I'm like, yeah, it's not like I've got my mother-in-law living with us, helping with our child, not sleeping with my husband, because it is gross on many levels. But the point is, the idea that just because you guys don't have friends and support other than the other sister wives, which apparently you all hate, can you at least close the door? So the camera doesn't have to hear it. So anyway, we do have support. You have mothers and sisters and aunts and friends. A lot of people who don't have a they call them family of choice, which is like, you know, just because you're born to people doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best support for you or there when you need them. Anyway, then we have I only have 1 page of notes. Normally I have 3, because I'm not going to recap a lot of the birth stuff. It was incredibly hard to watch. It was scary. Even knowing that their daughter is now okay, it was very scary to watch. The baby was born, was having problems breathing. They had to go to the hospital. That whole thing was incredibly difficult to watch. They explained that the baby had some birth defects, some missing, all of that. That's always hard to hear, because you know that life is tough enough for everyone, let alone adding anything difficult. Maddie and Caleb seem to be amazing parents, so I have, with a great attitude.
With the exception of not going to the hospital.
Well, I don't know. That's not what I would have chosen to do, but I know a lot of people who've made different choices, and it's just scary for me. Anyway, anything to say on the full season?
It's over.
Well, we still don't, we technically don't even see at least, now I might have missed it, but there wasn't even there wasn't a single mention of Mary the entire episode, going on and on and on about how great polygamy is. And they didn't even have a single mention of Mary. And this is something that's come up. A lot of people are so mad at Mary. Mary is not a saint. Mary has a whole host of problems.
Wasn't there a section, didn't they preview, Mary with the counselor and him?
That was a throwback to the previous, or the episode before that episode. But there wasn't even trust me, I'm not this big Mary fan. It's just a matter of 2 wrongs don't make a right. And so if someone does something, and then they say, and then there's all this, the whole thing about, are you coming with us? You coming with us? If they all hate her, they should have just let her move to her bed and breakfast. You know what I mean? It's just infuriating. Anyway, like I said, you can watch all of our old recaps, and you can join in with all of our frustrations with Mary from that old season. But they didn't even give us like a black screen with white. Robin and Cody did get the rent, eventually get the
stupid
loan.
ass.
I'm guessing they're trying to. I mean, the thing is, we can Google all this, so I know what happened. But I wanted the show to deal with it. I shouldn't have to Google to find out what is happening. It's infuriating. I didn't Google, but other people do. So anyway, I guess we will hopefully see you next year. And if not, come and join us for any of the other shows that we recap. Bye.